This old broken iMac was heading for the bin, but by the end of this video it might become the coolest desk accessory I've ever built. I saw a project Apple should have designed almost 2 decades ago. Maybe a decade ago. Maybe they should have called it the Pro Stand. They could have charged $1,000 for it as well.
And the Pro Stand, $9.99.
Huh. Anyway, in 2009 this 24-inch iMac was a premium machine in its own right. Excellent display for its time, a beautiful aluminium body, and expensive hardware. Today it's completely useless, at least to me. The screen has been removed, the internals are outdated and incomplete. Fixing it isn't worth the money. Honestly, every time I looked at it over the last few weeks, since using its parts for my previous 24-inch iMac video, I kept thinking the same thing. Instead of throwing away the chassis, maybe it could become part of the final design. The display and internals might be useless to me, but I could sell them. And I could maybe repurpose some of the cables. But the stand? The stand's brilliant. Honestly, one thing Apple has always done well is even when the technology becomes outdated, the industrial design often stands the test of time. At first glance, it doesn't look that complicated. It's just a screen attached to a stand. But inside, it's packed with components. There's the LCD panel, the motherboard, the power supply, hard drive, cooling system, speakers, and the cables tucked away that are hard to get at. Before I could build anything, all of that had to come out. The goal isn't restoring it. The goal is saving the parts that still have value. And for this project, that's mainly the stand and the internal chassis. The glass screen was used for my 24-inch iMac build, so that's not here. The display already has been taken off, as there were some screws missing from the other one. The real teardown pretty much already been done. Every screw and component removed reveals more of the skeleton underneath. The hard drive was removed by the previous owner. The optical drive has also been removed, along with the cooling fans, power supply, motherboard, more brackets, more cables, and before long, the desk is covered in parts. The shell is almost ready to be worked on. It's actually fascinating to see how these machines were engineered. Back when this machine was built, space really mattered due to the thermal output from the components. It's basically a giant aluminium and steel structure, designed to support a very heavy display. Originally, I thought I'd only use the stand, remove everything else, attach a platform, done. Simple. But projects rarely stay simple. The more I looked at the chassis, the more potential I saw. It already has mounting points, it already has a structure, and it already matches the design language of the stand. So instead of hiding it, I could use it and expose it. I kind of appreciate these parts of the build as the project starts evolving naturally. Beats having a cheap, generic stand from eBay, Amazon, AliExpress. Making it look intentional was the difficult part, because anyone can bolt a shelf onto a stand. That doesn't mean it'll look good. I wanted this to feel like something that belonged on a desk. For this, I'll have to break out my trusty angle grinder. There's a huge difference between recycling and upcycling. Recycling turns something old into raw materials. Upcycling turns something old into something better. That meant focusing on 3 things: strength, stability, and appearance. See, if it looked like crap when finished, then I'd failed. Although beauty is very subjective. The challenge wasn't building a stand, the challenge was building something people wouldn't immediately recognise as e-waste. Something people would look at and appreciate, like art. With the design finalised, it was time to start building. The platform needed to support a laptop, tablet, portable monitor, basically anything I'd use at my desk. The good news, the original iMac hinge is ridiculously overbuilt. Remember, this thing originally supported a giant glass display. A laptop weighs almost nothing compared to that. So instead of creating a completely new support system, I could just use the engineering Apple had already done. Sometimes, the smartest solution is letting the original design do the heavy lifting. Literally. To remove it, you fold down the stand base and slide a card into the gap. Then push down the stand a little to reveal the torque screws that hold the stand to the mount. This was so that a Vaser mount could be fixed to the unit instead. Nifty. Then remove all the pieces attached to the chassis and put them aside. The actual adjusting mechanism is properly engineered and housed, so we'll get to that in a bit. First, we cut down whatever part we don't need for the final product, then smooth the area down by sanding. I slowly heated and bent the steel frame into my desired shape to comfortably hold a laptop or iPad-like device. Once happy with the overall look, I adjusted the spring mechanism. It needed to be light enough to move with anything from about 600 to 1200 grams for most iPads and laptops. I also covered the front face area in stick-on Alcantara material so that it doesn't scratch the surface of whatever it is holding. Now this is the point where every project becomes either a success or a lesson. The stand is assembled, everything's tightened, now it's time to test it. Laptop on top, hands off, and it works. No wobbling, no tipping, no strange wilting movement, just a solid platform. Honestly, it worked better than I expected. A few hours ago, this was a dead computer. Now it's something useful, something practical, something I'd actually use every day. And that's what makes projects like this so satisfying. Technology moves incredibly fast, sometimes too fast. Machines that were once thousands become semi-worthless overnight, but the materials don't lose their value. The aluminium's still aluminium, the steel is still steel, the engineering's still engineering, the craftsmanship is still there. Sometimes, all it takes is looking at an object differently. Instead of asking what it was designed to be, ask what it could become. That's where the best projects begin. Not with the expensive materials, not with the fancy tools, just with an old object and a strange idea. Looking at the finished stand, it's hard to believe where it started. The original iMac stand is still here. The chassis is still here, sort of. The design DNA is still here. Now it serves an entirely different purpose. It holds a laptop perfectly, it works with an iPad. It could even support a portable monitor. And thanks to the original hinge and the compromise made, adjusting the angle feels fine. Almost like it was designed for this. Maybe accidentally, maybe not. Either way, I'm happy with how it turned out. Not because it's perfect. Every project has little flaws, little compromises, little moments where reality wins over the original plan. But that's part of the fun. The goal here was never perfection. The goal was turning something broken into something useful. And I think we've done exactly that. What started as e-waste is now probably one of the most unique things on my desk. Not bad for a unit that was supposed to be written off, huh? Check out the previous restoration on screen where I give another piece of old tech a second life.